Hi, today we are talking about section 7.6, surface areas of pyramids. Now the good thing is you already know that surface area is the amount of area on the surfaces or the faces of a 3D shape. And it's no different for pyramids than it was for prisms, other than you need to pay attention to what shapes the faces are and how many faces there are that make up the 3D solid. So for a pyramid, as we've talked about before, has one base and then has a point, and the lateral faces, which means the faces that go in the upwards direction, are all going to be triangles. Now for the net of a pyramid, you basically just open up from the point and flatten out the sides. In this, the base of every pyramid is going to be a square or an equilateral triangle. An equilateral triangle just means that all of the sides of the triangle are the same. So the lateral faces are identical triangles. A reminder over here that a square pyramid has a pyramid with a square base, and a triangular pyramid is a pyramid with a triangular base. So example 1, finding the surface area of a square pyramid, which means that this bottom is a square. So how many faces are there? I see 5 faces. There's 4 lateral sides and 1 bottom. Now, because I know that this bottom is a square, I'm just going to mark this as 7 meters as well, because squares have equal sides. Now, the cool part about the lateral faces all being the same, because it is a square base, is that we can do all 4 sides together. And then the bottom by itself. Now we know the sides are all triangles, so I'm going to use my triangle formula. I am looking for my right angle to determine what the base and height of my triangle is. I see the right angle here. My base is going to be 7. My height will be 10. And that gives me 35. However, 35 is just for one of the triangles. There are 4 lateral faces. So we are going to do 35 times 4, and that's going to give me 140. Now we just have to do the bottom. The area formula of a square is s squared. You can also use length times width or base times height. So 7 squared, 7 is the side length of the square, gives me 49. So for my final answer, the surface area is 140 plus 49, so the 4 lateral faces plus the base or the bottom, and that gives me 189, and I'm going to label it meters squared. So I'm still talking about a type of area, so we're still squaring it. Okay, example 2, finding the surface area of a triangular pyramid, which means the triangle is the base, and this is going to be equilateral like we talked about before, which means all of the sides of this base triangle are going to be 6 feet. So I'm just going to put that there as well just to help us. So I have 4 faces here, 3 lateral faces and 1 bottom. And everything is a triangle, so I'm going to use my triangle formula for both the sides and the base. Now we have to fill in our dimensions for the sides. Now this is a little tricky to see. We're going to try our best. We're looking for that right angle and the base and the height of the lateral faces. So 6 and 8. Which gives me 24 for one of the lateral faces, but I know I have 3 identical lateral faces, which gives me 72. And then for the bottom, I'm looking for the right angle on the bottom. That gives me 6 and 5 2/10. And that leaves me with 15 and 6/10. Now my final step, I just add the areas together. So 72 plus 15 and 6/10 gives me 87 and 6/10 feet squared. Okay, last example, example 3. The uppermost piece of an ancient Egyptian pyramid is called a pyramidion. These square pyramid-shaped pieces were sometimes covered with gold. What is the least amount of gold needed to cover a pyramidion in which each triangular face has a height of 1.2 and a base of 1.5 meters? Okay, so this is a square pyramid, which means the base is a square. It might help you just to see this redrawn. And it says that, let's see, the base of the triangular faces is 1.5, and since this is a square pyramid, that's also going to be 1.5 meters. And then the height is 1.2 meters. So this is going to be covered in gold. So I'm going to find the surface area of the whole thing. When we cover something, it is surface area. And I see 5 faces, the 4 lateral faces and the one on the bottom. Okay, so for the faces, the lateral faces, we've got triangles. So I use my triangle formula. I plug in the base and the height, which it tells us the base is 1.5 and the height is 1 2/10. So that gives me 9/10 for one of the faces, but there are 4 of them. That gives me 3 6/10. And then the bottom is a square. So I use S squared. So we are going to square 1.5, which gives me 2 25/100. So for my final step, my surface area, I'm going to add these 2 measurements together. And I get 5 85/100 meters squared. And that is the least amount of gold that's needed to cover the entire square pyramid. And that is the end of the 7.6 notes.